Show. That's right. Welcome in, welcome back, folks. It is indeed Notre Dame, Ohio State week. The week we have been waiting for literally for years. It's finally here. And you know what that means? Enough about me talking to you Notre Dame people all the time, and we keep it all Notre Dame-y, and we're all pulling from the same end of the rope. It's time to have a discussion with the enemy on this edition of the Always Irish Show. As always, thank you for being here. You can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps old Johnny Boy out as well. Notifications on that way you alerted every time a new episode drops. I know you don't want to miss it. Twitter, search bar, Always Irish Rat. Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only, anywhere you want it, you can get it. The call-in lines popping this week, baby. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen, and there's going to be a lot of that this week. Instagram, Facebook, wherever. Always Irish Inc. Don't forget about this. John knows how to write. USA Today, Fighting Irish Wire every single day. Notre Dame articles out the wazoo. Okay, let's get into this. This is going to be fun. This is something we don't get a chance to do a lot. We do it, we pull it out when there's a big game like this one. It's the week we've all been waiting for. And with that in mind, I would like to welcome to the program, Be Nice, they're guests of the home show. It is the fellas over at the Ohio Podcast. Look at this. That's a lot of scarlet and red. I don't like it on your Irish channel, boys.
That's right.
You got to get you got to get more gravel out of that, man. You got to work on it.
That's right.
That's a lot better. I like that one.
Now hold on. You kind of took a little bit of that from Animal from the Road Warriors, right? You know?
But yours, Eric, sounds more like a bad Vince McMahon impression.
You're fired.
I like he had a good one. You're fired. That was I like that. That is a Vince McMahon poke. That's a good one. So first things first, even though you guys are the enemy, you're nice guys and you do good work. Notre Dame fans, college football people, go over to their channel. Don't leave the episode now and then you're gone forever. Go over there, hit subscribe. These guys are fair guys. And I hope my people know I wouldn't do a show with guys of the opposition that I didn't think were fair. That's just a non-starter. So go ahead and subscribe to the Ohio Podcast and check their work out. You guys do a good job. So first off, we're into Tuesday night now, and I just want to know how you guys doing. Are you starting to get that feeling I have that grows in one of these weeks? It's starting to brew in you. How are you guys doing?
I wish it was Saturday. It can't get here fast enough for me. I'm so excited about this. Yeah. I've been listening to your show, John, throughout most of the summer because it's so doggone entertaining. And you guys have been talking about this all summer long. This one's been circled for you guys. Yeah. Well, usually we're nice guys and I appreciate that, but we're going to bring a little bit of, shall we say, a little bit of juice tonight, a little bit that might ruffle some of your listeners' feathers. And it's not because we don't like you. Okay. Well, listen, Chris and I have kicked Buckeyes off of our show. Okay.
Yeah.
Some of them in our fan base hate us because we're able to take our scarlet and gray glasses off and tell people the truth.
Yeah. And hey, by the way, I have that same issue. My delivery with Notre Dame isn't for everybody. And when we had the last coach and I started saying, this isn't going to work, let's get him out of here, a lot of the fan base turned on me. Yeah. John, this is as good as it gets. Best since Lou. Shut up and quit complaining. So I know what that's like when you got to tell it straight. It's not what people want to hear. I feel you on that, and I respect that approach.
John, we're 1 year away from there. Ryan Day's 1 year away from being Brian Kelly. Is he not, Chris?
Well, Eric, we all know my stance on this. Prior to that,
he thinks he's Brian Kelly already.
I think it's worse. I think he's John Cooper. Because he can beat any team in the nation with the exception of Michigan. But you know what that's great about that, Eric? He can beat any team in the nation that is not Michigan, which means I'm going to love it come Saturday because Irish eyes are going to be crying and I can't wait to lick the tears.
Yeah, that's nice.
You're gonna lick tears?
You know,
Yes.
well, I'm not watching the game with you, buddy. Stay away. No, but wait, you know what that reminds me of, guys? You got to tell them our bet. We made a bet last night, filled the people in on our bet. And you know why? Because I don't want to get killed one day wearing one of those hats. My people got to know what's on the line here. So explain it to them.
So back when Chris and I were youngsters, John, you're a little bit younger than us. You might remember this. People used to walk around a thing called a mall. Okay.
Yeah, we had those when I was a kid.
Okay,
Yeah, I remember
well,
that.
Before
it was called Amazon.com, there used to actually be malls. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. You actually had to drive there. And a lot of times you wouldn't even buy anything. You would just walk around. But there was a store in the mall that sold nothing but hats. And one of the popular hats back then were these college hats. And the three most popular ones were Morehead State, Kentucky, okay?
Yeah.
South Carolina Gamecocks.
Yeah.
And
real mature. Yeah, look at you guys. Real mature. Look at this.
So we decided to take that old theme, put Woody's name on there, and throw our podcast. And if we win Saturday, one of these is going to come to that mug up there, and he's going to have to put that baby on for one live show.
Send him that exact one, Eric, because what's on the bill of that hat?
That is an autograph by Mike Wargo, who is Ohio State's Rudy.
You know, oh man, that's even worse. I don't even want to touch that. And hopefully I won't have that problem. But we got a friendly wager. And if Notre Dame wins, you guys are going to be doing it with an Always Irish hat, fresh off the new merch store that's about to drop. So at least you'll get a new design and you're going to wear it. And if you guys win, I'm going to have to wear it. Now, wait. Does it have to be for a live stream? Meaning I got to sit there for 2 hours. It can't be a regular video. It's got to be a live for 2 hours.
Live.
Let's do this live. I mean, if we're going to dive in, let's go to the deep end.
All right. I just, there might be a little of that Newt Rockney, Frank Leahy magic Saturday night in the building, and I might not have to worry about this problem at all, guys. So that's fine. That's fine. All right. So now that we got our wager out there, let's get into the game a little bit. And sometimes, you guys, I struggle with being in a Notre Dame vacuum. You know what I mean? Most of my people are Notre Dame listeners. I am starting to gain some more people that like other teams that just say, John, you're just entertaining and that, I want to watch you. So sometimes I do struggle with being in a Notre Dame vacuum, and it is healthy to get outside of that and get outside perspectives on what's going on here. And you guys are perfect for that. Let's start with this. I want to know from you guys, from your people watching your show and the media you're listening to, all of that, the fans, the radio shows, whatever. I want to know how the majority of Ohio State fans are looking at Notre Dame entering this game. Is it little old big game failure Notre Dame, going to be another thing like always, blow it in the big game? Or is it this Notre Dame team's a little different? They got an offense and a quarterback and a new coach with a different energy. Be on alert. I just want to kind of test the waters there and see where your people are coming from.
Well, if you ask Kevin Noon, and cronies like him.
Don't do that. Now you want it. Now wait a time out. Earlier today, I did a show with Mark Rogers, whose show Kevin was on when that happened.
Yes. Okay.
I literally pulled the video up, made Mark Rogers watch it, and I go, where'd you find this Noon guy? What's the deal with this? And Mark was like, John, I do not speak for the people that come on my show. I'm not catching those strays. There was an Iowa guy that said something about Notre Dame, and all the Notre Dame people want me to ask Mark. And he's like, don't shoot the messenger. I have these people on my show. I can't control what they say. And he didn't even remember when it was from. He thinks it was from the summer. But yeah, that clip is, if Notre Dame wins, that dude, man, you might have to delete the account and get a burner because it's going to be ugly. But yeah, forget the outlier. Give me what most people think.
So I will give you what I think and Chris, you can chime in after me, because I think there is definitely a lot of people who think like I did. You asked me a week ago at this time, who wins this football game? I say Notre Dame's going to beat us. And it's not necessarily because Ohio State's gotten a lot worse. I think Notre Dame's also gotten a lot better because we all watched you guys over in Ireland. We all saw what you guys saw. And at this time of year, this early in the season, it's really hard to compare because, it's like, well, who have you beaten? Well,
Yeah.
what's that team done? There's a lot of that. And so I go a lot by just what my eyeballs tell me at this time of year.
And that's the game. I call that the game within the game, especially when you're playing teams you should beat. Then you're looking for these markers beyond that in the game. That's how I look at those two.
Notre Dame is different. They're just different. Yeah. And you've put that out there. You've shown that. Do I think they are going to be able to win a national championship and be on that level, college football playoff level, where they won't be embarrassed? I do. I think they're on that level. But I also think it's because there's a shift that has happened in college football where the South is not the strongest top 4 or 5 teams anymore, with Ohio State jumping in there, once in a decade to challenge. There's been a shift. As much as we don't like that team up north looks good. We look good now again. You guys look good. The North is making noise. And I'll tell you who's really scared. It's those people in the South because they don't look so hot right now.
Yeah.
Unless they want to claim Texas, which they'll try to do in the SEC.
Yeah.
But yes, you asked me a week ago who wins this football game. I say Notre Dame. But now I feel like it's a coin flip. I really do. Yes, Notre Dame is different, and it all has to do with 2 things. The one who's throwing the passes, the guy under center, and the guy standing over on your sideline who graduated from the Ohio State University.
Yeah. It's got to be the, huh? Can't just be Ohio State. It has to be the. Chris, do you agree with that position?
I do to some extent. Yeah, I would have probably said the same thing last week. I feel like, I don't know. I mean, as I was deep diving in, breaking down numbers for our show, John, I just realized that these are 2 teams that, as good as the numbers look, neither one has been tested. And I feel like this is the first big test for both teams.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of with Eric. I mean, I think, I'd like to say it's going to be a coin flip. What I should actually say is I think it'll be 42-7 Ohio State, and then Noon is the man.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. That's not the case. I think it's a coin flip. I think this game is probably decided by less than a touchdown, and I think the first team to 30 probably wins it.
Yeah, and you talked about Eric, kind of a confident shift there. And is that primarily based on Ohio State's performance in the last game looked a lot more positive to you? You found the things you were looking for, and that's kind of what made you pivot a little bit.
Yeah. So let me share this with your Notre Dame fans who are watching this, and the Ohio State fans that watch your show know that this is the fact, and whether they want to admit it or not, it's the truth. There's 2 different Ryan Days. Mm-hmm. There's angry Ryan Day, aggressive Ryan Day. I'm going to stomp you, Ryan Day, and I don't care what happens. Shirt untucked, like holding the playbook, going through it like a mad scientist, fist pumping, that Ryan Day. And then there's I'm going to play very conservative. I'm going to play not to lose. I'm going to run the ball on 3rd and 6. And I'm going to stand there and call the play. And when we don't get the first down, I'm going to clap. Which one shows up?
Well, now, but
that's the question. But last week it was angry Ryan Day, and I thought,
but then my question would be, what makes that switch go on and off with him? Is it who he thinks they're playing, what approach it has to be, or what he wants? Like, why would that switch go off and on with him?
So Chris will tell you he puckers up against the team up north. He gets in his own headspace.
Well, the last 2 years, it's kind of hard to look at the results and disagree with that. Like,
can't argue that.
You guys and I, we're enemies, but we combine forces on that one because everybody around here knows how I feel about them too. And I root for you guys when they play. So you got to figure it out.
I think sometimes Ryan allows scenarios or situations around him to dictate how aggressive he feels he needs to be, almost overthinking it a little bit. And early this season, the first 2 games, I felt like the cause behind that was the whole quarterback situation. Who's it going to be? I have this other guy who's also a borderline 5-star quarterback, and he's done really good in camp, and I don't want to lose him to the transfer portal. But I have Kyle McCord, who's been in the program for a year longer, knows the offense better, and I'm doing this kind of juggling act.
Yeah.
And in that process, he almost was like timid.
Yeah. And now maybe some of that comes with the instability when you go down that path, and look no further than Alabama. They have some of that going on now too. And they look like they're out of sorts. Like, I could see that kind of messing you up. And it's just that's instability is what that is.
They also have a bad play caller, bad offensive coordinator.
Hey, you're not going to be arguing on that. Boy wonder, I kept being told he's a genius. He's the smartest play caller in America. And I'm saying, how come Notre Dame's offense is ranked 50th every year then? And then I was told, well, let him go to Alabama, have all that 5-star talent. They'll put up 60 a game. All right, good luck. Go for it. Whatever.
Yeah, they're already trying to get him out of town.
Hey, when things went bad at Notre Dame for Buckner and Reese, at least they were Notre Dame guys that Notre Dame people wanted to support. You don't have none of that with Alabama. They want to drop them off at touchdown Jesus and say, take them back. No return policy, baby.
Chris, what do you think about Ryan Day? I know you might disagree a little bit because here's the thing. Like I'm on the boat right now of giving Ryan Day another chance.
Man, you guys better be careful what you ask for, though. I'm telling you, the grass isn't always necessarily greener on the other side. Like, I'm just telling you, you better be careful what you ask for there when you convince yourself you're going to go another direction. That's all I'm saying is that can get dangerous.
This is my thought process behind it, John, is I lived through the Cooper years. And I cannot stand going, I can't remember what was it, 2-10-1, wasn't it? Over the 13 years? 2-9-1 over 12 years, whatever it was.
At least he came to Notre Dame and beat us, so you got that going for you with old Coop. Yeah, great.
But, well, that's the thing. Cooper was a great coach against every team that wasn't from the state of Michigan.
Heck of a recruiter.
That is what I feel we have in Ryan Day.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand the importance of that rivalry game. And you know what? Things are changing. This I will say in Ryan's Day's defense. Things are changing. Starting next year, you can still get the playoff with a loss to Michigan. I mean, we even saw it last year.
Yeah.
But I cannot, in my own mind, fathom a situation where I can go through another Cooper era.
Decade.
And that's what I feel we're looking at. He is a great coach unless it's a really big game.
Well, that's a problem.
Then he gets he either lets Harbaugh's been living inside his head rent free for the last couple of years. And when you look at some of the other games that he's lost, it's the Oregons, it's the Clemsons. Now he came back and redeemed himself against Clemson. But the Oregons, the Clemson, the Georgias, nobody was going to beat that Alabama team a few years back. They just won. Nobody was. That was an offensive juggernaut.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that he gets overly conservative, almost playing not to lose rather than playing to win versus top tier competition.
Yeah. And,
that's bothersome for me.
We had a flip side issue with Kelly where I started feeling in the biggest games, the game plan was to just not lose by a lot, like not to go win, but the game plan was just to minimize how bad it was getting. It literally felt like he wouldn't even try to put us in position. So I get what you guys are saying. I'm just saying you better have a good plan lined up if you're ever going to do that, to know what you're going to do.
There's no plan.
Don't you say it, Eric.
John, there's no plan. Gene Smith is gone after this year. There is no way his last act as athletic director is going to be fire the man he put in to replace Urban Meyer. It's not going to happen.
And that's why the gutless weasel's leaving this year. Make no mistake about it. He
You guys
doesn't have the stones to make that call.
Man, you guys I mean, I get what you're saying with that rivalry. I'm just saying be careful what you ask for. That's all. And so, all right, if we're looking at this game and you guys feel better about it after seeing what you guys did last week, what do you think entering this game? What are Ohio State's strengths? What do you feel like you're going to get from them on the plus side against Notre Dame? You've seen enough the first month or what few games. What do you think you can rely on?
Chris, you want to go first?
Well, for me, there's two things I feel real confident about. One of them is our ability to run the football. We have an excellent, excellent running back room that really is 5 guys deep. You look at our 5th guy off the bench right now, and he had over 500 yards last year, John. And Dallin Hayden, who was a true freshman. But we've got Travion Henderson, who I believe that Travion, Chip, Mayan, these guys have been getting split time. A, yes, a couple of them are coming off of injury, but B, Ryan Day's not going to make the same mistake of getting guys out there to so much that they get hurt early. So I think we've been seeing the ball spread around so much to help keep these guys healthy.
Yeah.
For this game.
Yeah. And Henderson's finally healthy again, too. He was hobbling around most of last year, wasn't he? So he's healthy again. Yeah. So you feel good about that running game, and that's
also
a big
our defensive backs.
It's a big key. Yeah, man, you guys are nailing all of our inverse keys of
our
what you have to do.
I think, this is one thing I will say, and we talked a little bit last night on our show about the competition that both teams have faced. But this is one thing I will say. I think of all the teams that have been played by these two teams, we have definitely seen the best quarterback that was played. So I feel that does give us a little bit of an advantage at the cornerback position, having played an NFL caliber quarterback talent. So, and our corners had looked good before that, but they looked really good last week with the exception of, one play.
They're playing much more aggressive this year than they have.
Much more physical, much more handsy.
They've gotten 2 interceptions, which we hadn't had a cornerback get an interception since 2021.
21.
And it was 1. We had 1 that season. So we have
surprising as much talent as you guys have back there. And the reason that's a key dynamic is Notre Dame fans obviously feel good about Sam Hartman. However, Notre Dame fans have questions about that wide receiver room. That is an ongoing work in progress. We don't have your brand name guys. Kelly allowed that whole room to bottom out. They didn't even have numbers, you guys. They couldn't even recruit enough guys to fill the room. Guys left. We were bottom of the barrel, didn't have nothing going. And now we're on year 2 of rebuilding that room. And there's some guys, but it ain't like your guys. So the dynamic is we feel better about Hartman. But if those guys can't get open, Hartman can't do everything. He could try and throw them open and put the ball where he needs to. But those guys are going to have to get off and get open, catch the ball, be physical, block well. That wide receiver room for Notre Dame is a big work in progress. So that matchup, even though we feel good about the ball thrower, that receiving core is a big question mark for Notre Dame. And we want to see him in a big game to see how it turns out.
He's elevated that room. Like I told you last night, he has elevated that room.
Yeah.
We are hoping for some coverage sacks.
Yeah.
That we can make things uncomfortable for him because no one's open. He's scrambling around and we get some coverage sacks. But we would be remiss if we didn't mention our wide receiver room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we could give McCord enough time to find open receivers, then guys, that it's the best wide receiver in the room in the country for a reason. It's awesome. Okay. Yep. But if our offensive line can't protect him, it doesn't matter who's back there.
Now, what's McCord's accuracy like? Some of the other Notre Dame shows that I've listened to said, they looked better in this last game, but they still say he's a little iffy with the accuracy. What do you feel about that part?
I'll give you a perfect analogy. He's Sam Hartman a couple years ago. Okay. He's lacking the experience that Sam Hartman. In fact, I literally, when we were breaking down film earlier, I said, look at this quarterback Notre Dame's got. That's Kyle McCord's future. That's what he's going to look like right there. It's just going to take him time to get there.
Yeah.
So you're right. You have the advantage at quarterback. Okay. But if you can't get, if you can't get to our quarterback with that wide receiver room, just like he's elevated your wide receiver room, our wide receiver room can elevate that quarterback.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, McCord may not be the most accurate, but he's still right around 70%. That's not shabby. I would say it was his mid-range accuracy that was off until this last game.
Yeah, so he's really good with the deep ball.
He's got a great deep ball.
He's got it's that 10 to 15 yard pass for some reason he was high on a lot. And I think that's mechanics, it's footwork, it's being comfortable in the pocket, not having happy feet and seeing the ball sail. Like all of those things take time.
And you know what else? That kind of makes sense because if you're throwing a deep ball, in a way, it almost clears your mind because you're just cranking back and you're throwing a deep ball. But those intermediate, you got to put the right touch on it and the right height and all that. So there's a different kind of calculation there.
It's a free throw, man.
Yeah.
Like you're on the line and the fans are waving and screaming
just put it out there. Yeah.
It's a free throw.
Yeah. And man, but like what's so interesting is all of these matchups we're talking about are the classic ones you talk about breaking down any game. It's just very interesting because the competition for both sides hasn't been the best, fairest measuring stick to like have an idea. And it seems weird to me that it's like, oh, well, it's the fourth or fifth game and we're finding out who we are. But that's just kind of how the schedules are.
The dumbest thing anybody can do, John, is try to guess this game based off of last year. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So dumb. Like they're two completely different teams.
Everything about it's different.
First game of the year. Like, okay, come on.
And look at the quarterbacks too. Look at what we came in the game with last year and the guy you had, and then now that everything's different. It's a totally different ball game. And listen, I know Notre Dame's not known for being a tough, intimidating place to play. They're pulling out all the stops, you guys. Like, this is going to have the full light show, the DJ on the sideline.
Oh, you mean like the wristbands? That's
dude, they're doing this is like they're going for it. And I do not anticipate, but I told you guys before, Bush Push 05 is probably the last home environment that is going to come close to this one with game day there and all that. So it's going to be an atmosphere. So, it's going to be interesting. All right. Now, I ask you guys about some strengths. Now, let me ask you this. Is there anything where you're like, I don't know about that from your end? Like, what has you some anxiety that if things go sideways here, where are your anxieties at?
You want me to go first this time, Chris? You want to?
Go ahead, Eric.
Left tackle.
Yep.
I still can't believe the Ohio State has to go to the portal and get a transfer guy from a smaller school. What the hell are you doing?
We went fishing in the portal and we didn't get anybody till like the 11th hour.
The way you guys recruit, where's the next 5-star big-bodied corn-fed Midwestern O-lineman? Where are they?
Wisconsin, Iowa,
Nebraska.
The team up north. They got them all.
They got them all. The team up north has every single one of them, John.
You got to flip that rivalry so you can have a little edge there then. You can't be losing them guys.
Even though it's not the same position, what really hurt this offensive line was when our center, who we weren't expecting, Luke Whippler, when he turned pro, we went, uh-oh, because Carson Hinsman, who's now the starting center, was probably going to be at guard, and Donovan Jackson was going to kick out, who was the 5-star, was going to kick out and be tackle. But now that Hinsman's center, because you have to have someone who can snap the ball and be accurate, we kept Jackson on the inside, and then we went fishing for a tackle. And we had Fryer on left. He got a start last year at right, was our backup tackle, did good. We moved him to left, and it was a disaster. I mean, it was bad. Chris and I, spring game, we went to the practice. I saw it in person. It was like trying to if you're right-handed and you switch over to your left hand for the first time, that's what it looked like. It was bad. So they kick him back over to right, and they put the more athletic kid from the transfer portal at left. He's never played there before. He's very athletic. He's got good footwork. It's like our quarterback. He's inexperienced.
Yeah.
He's gotten a little bit better every game, but I would be a whole lot more comfortable if this was game 7 or 8 than I would game 4.
Yeah. And you have that anxiety, and maybe this will make you feel better about it, is Notre Dame's ability to pass rush off the edge against a high quality opponent is still in question.
So's ours.
We don't have that dude. Like last year, it was Isaiah Foskey. Everybody knew where he was. He was that guy you unleash off the edge and do all that. They're still trying to find consistency there. And that is one of the big things we're looking for and circling is anybody going to come off the edge and hit him, or what are we going to get here?
But I thought you guys had the former Buckeye from the transfer, Baptiste. I thought he was the answer.
Well, I hope he is, but I got to see it to believe it.
He ain't going to be, buddy.
Whether you're a Catholic or a Baptist, I got to see it to believe it, damn it.
The only thing he's the answer to is the question, who is the most overrated guy that Notre Dame picked up in the transfer portal this season?
Hey man, we needed him though. We needed somebody there. So you guys have that anxiety, and so do I. On the flip side, I don't know if we're going to be able to get home or not. Wait and see, baby. I don't know.
We haven't. We got 2 5-star defensive ends. Chris, how many sacks they got?
That would be 0, Eric. Now, we only have 1 sack from the defensive position or defensive end position at all, and it came from Mitchell Melton, who is a backup defensive end.
Linebacker.
All right. Now, wait. Yeah. Now, let me ask this. With Notre Dame, some of the media that breaks down film and is better with the X's and O's that's not my expertise. Like, I don't act like it is. They're saying, some of Notre Dame not getting pressure is, you have a mobile quarterback they didn't want to run. You kind of don't want guys to over pursue, and you want them to just kind of box the guy in on each side and not really get him. And I don't know whether I believe that or not, but that's like a narrative that I've read is like they were just trying to play to box the guy in.
They were setting the edge and boxing the guy in.
It's the same thing.
That's what I've been told.
Those articles were written by those Notre Dame guys are also being written by the Ohio State guys. They must just be changing the tagline.
They share notes.
Yeah, because we've been hearing the same things.
I don't know what we're going to get out of that. So again, there's another matchup. Your guys' running game. Are we going to be able to hold up against the run? I heard this. I forget if I mentioned this to you yesterday or not. Last year, Ohio State ran 17 first down run plays. 16 out of 17 were considered high efficiency, meaning, a few yards or more. Notre Dame's dead if that happens in this game. Like, they're dead. Notre Dame's not going to win.
A lot of those
guys are in second and third and reasonable. Notre Dame's screwed. Got to stop the run.
A lot of those were at the end of the game. That last drive in the fourth quarter was a backbreaker. So, I mean,
you're telling me I'm the guy with the broken back. You don't got to tell me that. I got screws back there, baby. You don't have to tell me. And you know what else? There's nothing more humiliating in football than getting the ball ran down your throat, and there's not a damn thing anybody can do about it. Everybody knows you're going to do it. You do it anyways, and it's a big middle finger, and I'm still not over it.
Yeah, it happens at the last game in November, the last 2 years in a row to us.
Yeah,
exactly.
We've all been there. That is a miserable existence. When you're getting ran on, there's not a damn thing you can do.
That funny video of Mike Tyson when he said he has a broken back, it's spinal. Yeah. That's what you need to cut up with that one right there. You need John, you got a broken back, it's spinal. So the defensive ends has been so frustrating to me because all offseason, the Ohio State media, all they talked about was, here comes Chase Young and Nick Bosa and Joey Bosa this season, all wrapped into.
What about in a couple of years and Justin Scott out of the Chicago Catholic League? If you really want to get John mad, bring that up.
I wasn't going to.
All I can tell you is they have talent, but they're very inconsistent. And
Yes.
the Ohio State media, and Eric, we were guilty of it too,
Mm-hmm.
but the Ohio State media took one tremendous game by JT Tuimoloau and said, this is what we're going to get every game
Yeah.
in 2023. And the fact is, we just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Now,
Penn State
is there
still has
something to the
nightmares.
fact that
Yeah.
is there something to the fact that we've been playing lower level competition and maybe Jim Knowles didn't unleash the beasts? I don't
That's
know,
no
but I don't
way,
think that's the
man.
case. I don't think
No.
it's the case.
Did we ever have to not release the beast when Chase Young played?
Yeah.
You
Come
couldn't
on, man.
stop the beast.
No.
Right. The
He
beast was just loose
He
all
was
the
called the
time.
Predator for a reason.
Yeah.
he wrecked offenses
Yeah.
by himself. He wrecked them. And we haven't had that since then. And I'll be honest, when you go up against a good quarterback like this, you don't get pressure. You could have
You get
Tweedly
beat.
D and Tweedly
It's that
Dum
simple.
out there, wide receiver. He'll pick you apart if you give him all day to throw.
Yeah.
You don't get pressure, you get beat. It's
Yeah.
as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's gotta come down. And it sounds like in a lot of ways, it's both sides of the coin for us are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like these teams are very mirror image to one
Man,
another.
it's just it feels like it's almost game one again, but it's into the schedule, but there's just so many unknowns you want to test against a high quality opponent. It almost feels like a game one dynamic. It's just a little odd. I have not heard a lot of Ohio State media bring up Hartman specifically, and I feel like that is the single biggest difference in how Notre Dame is presenting this year is Sam Hartman. And I'm not seeing a ton of people specifically bringing it up. Do they just think that he's not that dude or that it isn't going to matter? Or am I just not seeing Ohio State people go, realize this Notre Dame team's different. They have a guy that could sling it now. Am I missing it or what?
Sam who?
Yeah, there you go again. See? You got a guy on your own show asking who the guy is, downgrading him.
No, I think Hartman is a tremendous talent, and he probably is the best quarterback that you guys have seen since at least Brady Quinn.
Brady Quinn.
However long ago that was.
From Dublin, Ohio, baby.
Yep, that's appropriate.
Yeah.
The brother-in-law of the guy who sent him off to the hospital.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh,
you know what,
man.
dude? I'm still mad when his sister wore that half Notre Dame, half Ohio State jersey because she married, what's his name? Was it AJ Hawk?
AJ Hawk, yeah.
I was so mad at her. I'm like, lady, somebody unsew that thing. This is just a travesty. Pick one or the other.
Oh, shoot. You know,
You don't
I
want
really,
him to make a choice, John. You don't want him to make a choice.
I really like Brady Quinn. I think he does a great job on Fox Big Noon Kickoff. I really do. I really
and he was
like
a Brown,
a lot.
poor guy.
Dude, I want NBC to give him Notre Dame's booth job. He would be really good, and all the Notre Dame people would love him in that booth. Like if NBC's your little baby for TV, put Brady Quinn in there. Give me that hair, baby. I want it.
Let's put him and AJ up there to call this game. See how it goes.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, man.
So do you think he's getting credit, or is it, I feel like that is the number one thing that is different about Notre Dame that gives us hope. And I don't know if I'm hearing a lot of people on your side even mention it. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing it.
I think he's overlooked a bit, don't you, Eric? I mean, he came in from the ACC, which I think a lot of people really discount that.
I really think that has a lot to do with it. He came from a school that I mean, you look at all the quarterbacks who are in the transfer portal in the Big Ten this year. There's a ton of them. Yeah. There's at least 5 or 6. Yeah. Right. But all of the top ranked ones were who? All guys who were developed at that school, who've been at that school, or were in the Big Ten. Cade McNamara, he got a lot of preseason pep over in Iowa because, where he came from, but he was in the Big Ten. I think just a lot of Ohio State media in general focus more on the Big Ten. And then when we look out, and then when we think big picture, it's usually what's coming out of the SEC. Is it going to be Georgia? Is it going to be Bama? That's kind of where the focus is, which is why I said, this game can really change a lot of things in the grand scheme of things in college football. Whether win or lose for either team, if this game is a knockdown, drag out fight where everybody comes away and says, gosh, that was a heck of a game. Both those teams are really good. Then that can change the national narrative of the North. And it didn't, guess what? It didn't happen from Ann Arbor, the whore. It happened in South Bend and Columbus, Ohio, which is where it should happen.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to change the Northern narrative, it's going to be Notre Dame and Ohio State. It ain't going to be the fighting hairballs up there. I'll tell you that much.
Well, and Eric, you mentioned earlier, this is the prime time for that too, because the South is, they're down. They're down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now, not if you listen to our friends over at ESPN.
ESCPN.
Yeah.
You know what I call it?
Because I'll tell you what.
I call it BSPN. And you know what, you guys? I'm using all their BS against them this week. I got my guys getting a flag in there. I'm getting my logo on game day, baby. I'm using those guys for my benefit. I'm trying to get my flag on there. I'm going for it.
But yeah, you look at just the narrative of Georgia's pulled out a hard-fought victory over an unranked South Carolina team. But you know what? Ohio State pulls out a victory 30-7 over an Indiana team, which is a Big Ten opponent on the road in a home opener. They drop a spot. If Notre Dame were to be involved in a close game with whoever it may be, had it been NC State and they beat them by a field goal, it would not have been a hard-fought victory, John. It would have been, man, they should have dominated this team. Why not?
Yeah, it wasn't.
But because it was an SEC matchup, it was this hard-fought victory.
Yeah,
they deserve to stay number one.
Yeah, it wasn't Tennessee's bad. It's, man, Florida played really
good.
Really
good. Yeah.
It's all about how you. It's all about how you frame it.
The spin, baby. It's all about the spin.
Yeah. It's wild. All right. So let me ask you this: if Notre Dame were to win this game and flip these narratives, what do you think would be the biggest factor? Like what do you think it would be? Would it be, a certain position group or a big play here or there? What do you think it would look like if you guys fell to Notre Dame?
Let me give you the headline Sunday morning. Notre Dame beats Ohio State. Hartline could win Heisman. It's going to be Hartman can win. It's going to Hartman. He's a legitimate Heisman candidate leading your program.
And you guys, this is why Sam Hartman came here. Wanted to beat the hell out of Central and Tennessee State. He came here to try and improve his NFL stock draft profile. These are those moments. This is the whole reason this guy is here, is for a game like this. So I think he's going to do his part. I need everybody else to do theirs. And I have some questions about the wide receiver. This is just, we need to see it. I'm losing my mind already.
Well, let me just say, if Brian Hartline's up for the Heisman, Ohio State's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, Eric.
Sorry. Well, I got
wait. What if Hartline's not up for the Heisman, but he's up for the Michigan State job? What about that?
No,
nobody wants that. That's as bad as the Northwestern job. Nobody.
He knows that place is that's a graveyard, man.
It is pretty toxic right now, just like Northwestern. Yeah, there's some weird stuff there. So that makes sense to me, and I think it's Sammy Smooth, baby. It's your turn. And then let me ask you this. This has been in my mind. I talked to you about it before, and it's still bugging me. Is Ryan Day going to try and establish the run, or is he going to let McCord let it rip? Or is he going to be real patient and see how much he can get in that run game and then adjust off that? Or is he going to go in there and go, I know my guy could throw a deep ball, and we're going to get up by 2 scores on Notre Dame early and let it bombs away? How is that going to look? Or is he going to tiptoe in the middle?
I hope he don't tiptoe. He usually comes out throwing the football. Like I for the longest time had the biggest complaint that he didn't run the football enough. You go back, was it 4 years ago now, against, maybe it's longer than that, against Northwestern, and Trey Sermon broke the all-time rushing record at Ohio State, a record a record that Eddie George held. And Northwestern, believe it or not, actually had a decent football team that year, could not stop the run. Couldn't do it. But he refused to run the football until literally he's like, well, I guess I'll run the football if he's gonna get 20 yards per carry.
Yeah.
Like it was like everybody collectively, the entire state was yelling at him, run the ball. He loves to pass the football. He's a former quarterback.
Yeah.
He's a former
Well, do
NFL
you blame
quarterback
him?
coach.
Look at your skill talent. I can't blame the guy. I'm just asking if it's the smartest play with an inexperienced quarterback who's never been in this environment. That's another part of it. Do you guys have any anxiety about the first time this kid is in a hostile road night environment where it's loud and maybe things are moving fast? Is that a part of it? Or do you think this is Ohio State, this guy that shouldn't even be a factor for him?
Oh, of course you got to be concerned about it. I mean, it's a big time game on a big time stage, and he's a new starting quarterback. You'd have to be an idiot not to be concerned about it. Uh, Going back to the other thing, I think sometimes Ryan Day can't get out of his own daggone way and look and see what he got. Now, I, like Eric, had griped a lot about the not running enough thing. Well, last week we actually saw him run the ball more than he passed the ball. Could it be a sign of things to come this week? Maybe. But I'm with Eric. He's not going to abandon the pass early.
No.
He's gonna test it early and then see if he can mix the run
I
in.
think he thinks even if my objective is to run the football and I think I can win running the football, I'm still going to keep you honest.
Yes.
Because I've got horses that you don't have.
Yeah.
And so I have to keep the threat of making sure you keep your safeties deep.
Yep.
Because if you don't, then I've got a guy who can run 23 miles an hour by you.
Yeah.
And good night,
and,
Sally, right?
On our end, Notre Dame wants to be a power run team in their DNA. That's always been a thing, whatever. I've even been we don't have the guys you have on the outside. And I'm early in the year, I'm still asking for a couple, 2-3 deep shots and a half, just for the reason you said, even if you don't hit it, you're putting it in their minds. Notre Dame's not afraid to try it, at least to give some space back there.
John, how many times do you, on a Saturday, does that happen? And if you might not get a completion, but you might get a pass interference.
Yeah.
And it bails you out, right?
Yeah.
Like you gotta take that chance. I get it, but if you can, like you said, if you can wear a team down and you can win the line of scrimmage, it's I mean, as a defender and you can't do nothing, it's deflating, man.
Yep.
It really is. But let me ask you this question, because this has been going around in my head a little bit. So all day today, I was thinking about apparently my pick for the Heisman, your head coach. Back in the day, I remember the old timers talking about Bobby Knight, who played basketball at Ohio State. Actually was on the last time Ohio State won a national championship in basketball. And every time he brought his Hoosiers over to St. John Arena, he would pucker up a little bit. And it was because he walked in that arena, he got all the feels, like, oh man, this is where all these great memories and he wasn't the same Bobby Knight. He wasn't throwing chairs onto the court. He wasn't yelling at the refs, and give them the business. He would more or less just kind of just be more mellow. Yeah. And we always would take advantage of that. Do you think, I mean, I know you converted him to Catholicism. Okay. I know that was a big thing for you guys, but do you think come Saturday when he comes out of that tunnel and he stares across the field and he sees the scarlet and gray, that there isn't a part of him that doesn't go back in his mind and say, I remember when? I mean, I know he's going to be like, I'm focused. It's all business, but he's also a human being. And I know Chris disagrees with me big time. I think a lot of his comments was him trying to tell himself, hey, I got to let go of being a Buckeye. I've got a program here that is big in the North, just like Ohio State was. And so some of that stuff that came out was him trying to convince himself.
I got a really good answer to that. My answer to that is I think there's a lot of what you're saying that has truth to it because these guys are coaches, but they're humans and everybody
Sure.
thinks and feels the world around them, even if you're at that profile. However, he needed to get that bullshit out of his system last year going to your place and get that. He should have it way more last year going home to that stadium than he should have it in our own. So he should have got all those feels and all of that shit out of there last year when it was literally game one as head coach in the regular season and he's coming home there to the shoot. That would have been the time to get overwhelmed and have all the emotions flooding over you and you're kind of there but not there because everything's spinning in your head, all those human emotions. That all should have been a part of that learning process year one, game one. This should be different. He should be able to compartmentalize that in a different way this year at home with another year of experience, being able to feel this all out, being able to regulate his coaching emotions better. So I think what you're saying in theory applies, but it should have been way more last year than it's going to be running out of our own place this year. How's that for an answer? That's a fair answer.
Chris, you want to respond?
You don't have to worry about a thing, John, because he has no happy feelings about Ohio State. He is a self-hating Buckeye. He is a loathsome piece of rat excrement who you guys can keep in South Bend as long as you want, because I never, ever want to see that piece of trash walk into the shoe again.
Telling you, Chris, you are the only dude I've ever seen anywhere that has a negative thing to say about Marcus Freeman. You're it. Think about it. All the stuff that these other coaches are doing and getting in trouble for and this and that. And all you're mad at is Marcus Freeman going, I'm at Notre Dame now and I want to win here. And now he's on your list.
No. If he would have just said, I'm at Notre Dame and I want to win here, I would have respected that. He didn't say that. He felt he needed to go out of the way to insult the university where he made his bones, where he made his name. He felt he had to take a big steaming crap.
What do you want him to do? Wait, Chris, what do you want him to do? Take the Notre Dame job and recruit for you guys? What did you expect him to do?
No, but he didn't have to talk crap either.
What did he say? All he said was, I wouldn't make that mistake again. I would have got the better education. Wow, sue the guy. I'm just telling you. Have some perspective. Look at all the other
I've got
coaches in the country.
Guy's dumpster trash.
That's all you got on him is that he said, I'm at Notre Dame now, and he pumped up Notre Dame a little bit. Man.
The only thing he was pumping up was his own ego.
He's not Brian Kelly. Give me a break. Tone that down. Brian Kelly was the ego guy. I just think it's funny because I have never seen anybody with anything negative to say about him, even in the media. But then I got you on here.
He's a legend in his own mind. That's it.
Well, okay. So taking Chris's perspective out, this is what makes our show unique, by the way. We actually argue against each other more often than not.
That makes for good radio. I like that.
I don't want to burn any bridges because there might be a day I have to come knock on his door.
Yeah.
And because we always do, we do something interesting, John. I would love to get your take from a Notre Dame perspective from you guys. But in our off season, we do one show where we rank all of Ohio State's former players who are now in the coaching business.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that.
And he has climbed the ladder every single year, beginning when he was I think a linebackers coach.
He was at Purdue for a while, I think.
Purdue, thank you. And then he went to Cincinnati with Luke, and then he has climbed that ladder. Now Luke has held on to that for us, Luke Fickell. But I'm serious. After watching Wisconsin crap the bed this year a little bit and watching how much you guys have improved, I'm not so sure this offseason he's not number one on my list this year. Now, I know
Yeah.
Chris will never put him there, but there's 3 of us on the show, not 2, so we can outvote him.
Yeah.
But I'm just telling you, and a lot of people have this, a lot of Buckeye fans say this. Brian Hart or our wide receiver coach. Help me out,
Brian
Chris.
Hartline.
Hartline, thank you. All these H names. Hartman.
Yeah. Hartman,
whatever.
Heisman.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's late for me. Been up since 4:00. My point is this. Everybody says Brian Hartline's gonna be next coach. We tried the no head coaching experience route with Ryan Day.
Yeah.
And there's been a learning curve there. There is a learning curve. That's why I've tried to tell Ohio State fans, let's be patient. Okay. He's a brand new coach. You guys are experiencing it now. Okay.
Yeah.
If the next Ohio State coach should be someone with experience at the head coaching position. And if Brian believes that's the case and he truly wants to be a head coach at Ohio State, I would not be surprised if he does take the Luke Fickell route and leaves and goes and coaches at another school first.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say this, man, there was an obvious steep learning curve for Freeman year one. And there's no cheat code for that. It's year one of being a head coach, and it was in all the spotlights of Notre Dame. That is tough. He has grown leaps and bounds. Like you could just tell his confidence. He's more comfortable in his messaging and his approach. The coaching staff seems way more there's more cohesion. Everybody's on the same page. His development is on a good track. In our opinion, the recruiting keeps going up. In fact, I just got a text while we were doing this. I think we may have picked up an offensive lineman, not to make you guys mad. Gerby Lambert, I think. My phone blew up when we were doing this, which means either somebody I know died or something happened with Notre Dame. That's the only 2 times that happens. So the recruiting's trending up and all that. And what I like about it is he didn't come in acting like he knows everything, and he was willing to adapt and shift and change and not be scared to go, I don't have all the answers. I need to maybe change my approach. So he's trending up. And my only thing is, if somebody's going to steal him for Notre Dame, hopefully we win something first. That's my only thing.
I'll tell you another reason why this is good for him. He's replacing a coach that a lot of the fan base doesn't like.
Yeah. And results are results. Even just starting with the personality, he's 1,000% more approachable and likable than Kelly in every single interpersonal way. That's a big, big jump.
There's a lot of people in this fan base that think like Chris does when it comes to Ryan Day, and it's because they are results-oriented Urban Meyer, right? And so there's a saying out there. I know. Hold on. There's a saying. You don't want to be the guy who replaces the legend.
Yep.
You want to be the guy who replaced the guy who replaced the legend.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. And I feel like Ryan Day has ran into a little bit of that, but he can squash all of that at the end of this season.
Yep.
If he goes into Ann Arbor and wins that football game.
Yep.
There was a question last night that was posed to us and from one of your listeners. If Ryan Day loses to Notre Dame, but beats that team up north, or would you, how would you guys view that? And we all would view it the same way. Throw a freaking tick tape parade, man. Like we would trade it in a heartbeat.
Yep.
Okay. Because
although it would be slightly more painful for me than you guys, Eric, just because of the coach over at Notre Dame.
Yeah, but I still think if I was in your position, I would agree with that, just because the relationship with us and you guys is different than Michigan. And I would agree with that. That's the right take. It's a bigger deal. I mean, yeah, I think that's the right perspective.
Plus this game, if it goes the way I think it will, and it's a coin flip, and it could come down to maybe the last drive of the game or whoever has the ball last or a game-winning kick.
Yeah. Now, wait a second. What do you got for kicker? Watch all this stuff we're talking about. It's going to come down to some dork kicker. Just watch all of this line play and the receiver. It's going to come down to kickers. What are you guys working with in that department?
USC's former stud that transferred.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, you
Who
guys
the hell
know him.
wants to
Man,
leave
he would love
Hollywood
to
and go
stick
to
it to Notre
Ohio,
Dame,
though?
wouldn't
How'd
he?
you pull that off? NIL, who's leaving Hollywood for Ohio?
Someone who wants to win championships,
Oh,
apparently.
He
geez.
just wanted to come and kick the ball down Notre Dame's throat. That's all.
All right. Yeah. Chris, you're on one tonight, buddy. I like
Yeah.
this. I like seeing you a little testy. I could tell that the big game stuff's getting to us. I like it. All right. Man, every time we talk, we could go and go and go. I don't want to take all your guys' time. I have a very practical question that is a big deal amongst Notre Dame fans every year, and especially this week. And I'm going to end with this. How many Ohio State people are going to be in this building? It is a big deal to Notre Dame people to keep it green. What is the vibe you're hearing? How many people are you bringing Greyhound buses in all down the turnpike? Or what are
Hey,
we doing?
hey,
Is
Eric, I
Buck
know
not
of at
going
least
to be
one
there in the
that'll be
front
there,
row?
and NBC will probably be on in prime.
Yeah. Big Nut and
We know the
all
big nut will
his
be there for
friends are
you.
coming.
Oh, he's a big nut, that's for sure. Just in a different way than you're referencing him. He's a big nut, that's for sure. Any grown man wearing face paint, you're a big nut. You're right.
So on the fan, local Columbus radio today, they were saying that they believe it's anywhere from 25 to 30% of the stadium is going to be Buckeyes.
Man,
So
I wouldn't want it to
so
be
is that what 20,000 to
I mean,
30,000
we
somewhere around
got
there?
80, 87.5 is the seating there. So you're
Okay.
looking at if you were looking at a quarter that I was thinking maybe 15 to 20 would be an acceptable amount. You know, we have the allotment for the visitors in a corner, and that is what it is. And then I judge the other pockets of the opponent. Yeah, I'm just wondering what that's like because Notre Dame fans have anxiety about that. Cincinnati took over the place in 21. Georgia took over the place, and then we go way back. Nebraska took it over, and Notre Dame fans have a lot of scar tissue. And the thing is, it's always red. That's the other. It's always red. Nebraska, Cincinnati. Hopefully not you guys. Like it always seems to be the red, and I do not want to see that end our home game zooming in on Bucknut in my building all night.
I hope that by the end of the fourth quarter, you all get a spelling lesson and the stadium's ringing out OHIO, and then maybe someone can yell podcast afterwards. That would be nice
You
marketing
think
for
we could
us.
get Big Nut to go ahead and pull a Baker Mayfield and run out there and plant the flag right at the
No,
50-yard
no,
line?
we're not
Yeah.
trashed like that. No,
Wow.
I tell you, if that were to happen, I would be furious. I
Yeah,
don't think
that's a little
our
much. I
coaching
agree.
staff would never let that happen.
Man,
No, we're
that's
not trash like that.
yeah. So it is something Notre Dame fans are looking for when they do that first panoramic around the stadium. I'm looking for those pockets of red. And the other thing is Notre Dame's got the gold seats, the fancy ones with the seat backs right behind each bench for like a few rows, and some of those are ending up for sale on a secondary market. Notre Dame does not like that. Those are big money in-house Notre Dame tickets. So for those to get on the secondary market, I don't like that. Like these are big money donor seats. Like these are not Joe Blow. So there's just a little bit of that we don't want to see it overrun with a bunch of red or the Bucknut or anybody else. Or isn't there a dumb cowboy one too? You got Bucknut,
No,
and then we got his old Buckaroo partner with the cowboy hat.
Don't bring up Buckeye guy. Oh,
we
gosh.
don't claim that.
So here's a story behind him for your listeners.
How can you pick which adult in a costume to not like and which
Well,
one
just
to like?
wait. There's a good reason.
I'll tell you why. So this guy markets himself to make money, okay? And Earl Bruce, former Ohio State coach Earl Bruce, passed away. At his viewing that they had at St. John Arena, they had a big card with his picture that former players could come up and sign and write a little message to his family. Okay. Buckeye guy, who's the black cowboy fella, walks up, grabs the Sharpie, and writes his Buckeye guy big on the card. You want to talk about disrespect? Every player was like, dude. So you hardly see him at games anymore.
But you
Okay.
see him at festivals in Marion, Ohio,
He'll
selling
go.
his wares and supposedly collecting money to donate to the university.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
boy.
supposedly.
Wow, the
Now,
Cowboy NIL initiative. I like it. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. The
Yeah.
Cowboy Collective. There you go. I got it. I like that.
Now Big Nut's a different story.
I
Like
know
Yeah.
you told me he's a
he
good
really is a
guy and he
good
helps the
dude.
community and all this stuff. That's fine. I just don't want him in my community. He can
He's
be good to
coming.
Oh, he's
yours.
gonna be
Stay
there.
out of mine.
Big Nut's gonna be in the
He's
house
coming.
representing.
He is coming. He is coming. Yeah, here's your bling.
I got my
Yeah.
bling, baby. I'll give me in there with me and the cowboy guy. We're gonna go back and forth, baby. Oh man. All right, you guys. Let's wrap this up. I would like to give you guys, as my guests, a final opportunity to kind of give a parting line here of like your final big picture thoughts about what we're gonna see. What do you guys think?
Chris, you want to go first? You want me to?
I joked about it, John. Being a curb stomping, so to speak, just like your boy Noon. But it's gonna be a hard fought win. I really think that the defensive backs and that running game and the ability to control the clock are going to play into Ohio State's favor in the long run.
Yeah.
I look forward to be, and we just did our score predictions before we came on here. I think it's like a 30-24 Ohio State victory.
This is going to be, so far, if you think about the games that have been played on television with the big programs, the big highly ranked programs, LSU, Florida State, uh, Alabama, Texas, these games, I think this one surpasses those easily. This is going to be the hardest hitting football game you've seen on television this year. This is going to be extremely physical. It's going to be well played. It might be a little chippy, but I don't think it's going to be out of like coming from a bad place like it will.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it isn't going to
Okay.
be like some of Colorado
It's going to
State.
be competitive.
Those guys were ready to fight.
It's gonna be a competitive, chippy,
Yeah.
high level, well played, well coached football game.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if either team wins this thing going away.
Yeah.
I think it's going to come down, John, to a big mistake at the end of the game. And since we're riding high with the hat bet we got going on, of course I'm going to pick Ohio State for the win. But it's a coin flip, and I'm just being dead honest with you. Some of your advantages we have some advantages.
Yep.
It's which one of those is going to make the game. And at the end of the day, it's usually the team that makes a mistake late is the team that loses. So I'm going to say Ohio State gets a big defensive play somewhere in the fourth quarter that leads to a 31-24 win.
Yeah, and I think that score range wouldn't surprise me in the area both of you guys talked about. I too would be surprised if this was a blowout either way. I just don't see that. And I mean, I got to stay true with my side of the bet. I think Sam Hartman makes Notre Dame a different team in this kind of environment, and he's going to keep them in it. And I got to believe somehow, some way at the end, Notre Dame makes one more play and you get that magic finally. But it's going to be, I'm with you guys. I think it's going to be a one possession game either way. But it all lines up for Notre Dame. If you were ever going to clip Ohio State, knowing you guys have a talent advantage, these are the set of circumstances it would be. It all lines up for Notre Dame. At home, you have the experienced quarterback, all the stuff we talked about. There are some advantages for Notre Dame, and you got it at home. You got Hartman for this reason. Close game, one score either way, and I got to go with maybe Notre Dame's kicker that could kick it 60-something yards, maybe at the end. He's got a big boot. The accuracy isn't always there, but he could kick it 60-some yards, so they don't have to be that far to get into range. But I got it a one-score game, somewhere like that. I just think it's going to be a great game, and I'm going to finish with this, and we talked about this yesterday, and you mentioned it earlier. I love the fact that all of the eyes in college football are going to be on us and you guys, these Midwestern brand name helmet powers. And it's the game of the week and the hell with the SEC and everything else. I like that all the lights are on the Northern powers up there that are playing good football. That's good for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see there is one other game on at the same time we are?
Which
Penn
one
State,
is it?
Iowa.
Is that what it is? Good. Nobody will watch it.
Who's going to watch that who's not living in central Pennsylvania and Iowa?
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah,
Nobody.
exactly. So all the eyes are on us. We got game day. It is going to be electric on campus. This has been really, really fun, you guys. It is great when you have these matchups. You can't do this every week. I'm not bringing on a Tennessee State guy to talk about the game. You know what I mean? Like,
why not?
When there's
Eddie.
Ooh, yeah, Eddie. Yeah, you had Eddie and Marcus out there. They're buddy. I like that. I get it. But I'm not having those guys on. But something like this, with this build-up and this juice, we had to go for it. And then, of course, everybody out there watching, remember to hold us both to this bet. Either way, one way or the other, hold us to that bet. You guys, let everybody know where they can find you and if you have a regular schedule so people can subscribe and follow.
Yeah, right here on YouTube at the Ohio Podcast, 8 o'clock Eastern. Every Sunday night we go live, 8 o'clock Eastern every Sunday night right here on YouTube. Facebook, you can find us on Facebook, The Ohio Podcast. We're on Twitter, The Ohio Pod.
Awesome. Yeah, get that out of DX. Yeah, now I'm going to do the full motion here in a second. You guys, this has been beautiful. Good week, a good banner. You're fair guys. That's the only reason I greet us. What do you got, Chris?
Just one thing I want to say before we leave, John.
Yeah.
OH!
Oh.
IO!
And then I'm going to say what I always say. Why does it take two guys to spell a four-letter word? Is that Ohio State education? You guys, it takes two guys to spell a four-letter word in your fan base. Congratulations.
It's code for the best.
Whatever you say. All right, guys, I want you to enjoy the rest of the week and all the media we're doing. And then Saturday's got good games through every window. We can enjoy the 11 o'clock window and then a 2:30 window leading up to our game. It's going to be a great college football weekend. Thank you guys for joining me. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Go subscribe to the Ohio Podcast. Have a good one, everybody.